If you are running against any single Republican that pushed the yes on his name, you better use every single thing that Todd Blanche has done and tie it around their neck. We have excellent news today, friends. The slush fund scandal, a wonderful ending. So come on in. I normally do not read from another reporter's or journalist work verbatim, but I still feel like Kyle Cheney of Politico has worked so hard, and Hassan Ali Kanu, and I love his name is Kanu because that Kanu was a name that's common in my country, my native Sierra Leone, have done an excellent job. So I'm going to read for you what Judge Kathleen Williams, and district court judge in Florida, wrote in a 56-page scathing rebuke of not only the Trump administration, Donald Trump, but specifically Todd Blanche, who is vying, starting tomorrow, to be the Attorney General of the United States. This man, if any Republican pulls the yes lever after his confirmation hearing to confront this man, if you are running against any single Republican that pushed the yes on his name, you better use every single thing that Todd Blanche has done and tie it around their neck. They're going to have to answer to that on the campaign trail. You have to make sure you put people in every audience, every single debate, every single time he appears in public. You need to have somebody on the ground asking them specifically, why do you think this person who has this laundry list of things to show that they have they do not have the ethics, the morals, the values, the professionalism, the fidelity to the truth, the honor, and the commitment to the United States people, the government, the Constitution? Why did you vote for this person to be the Attorney General of the United States after he's already proven that he is not interested in our interests? He is only interested in Donald Trump's interests. Why did you push the lever? You better, I swear to God, if I see you running against any of these senators who vote yes on this man and you don't bring that up, ooh, I don't know what I'm going to do, especially if you're not in my jurisdiction. I don't know how many people anyway. I know my senators aren't going to do that. I know Senator Alisa Brooks is not going to do that. I know Chris Van Hollen ain't voting yet, so that's my senators, because they're Democrats anyway. But any of y'all who have Republican senators who vote for this man, I swear to God. Anyway, enough of my thingy. So, in her order, let me say specifically what she said. Let me go back really quick because I'm really excited. For those of you who don't know, let me catch up to speed really quick. Donald Trump wanted to give his January 6ers, the violent insurrectionists who were the cause of the end of life for multiple police officers. Those people who we saw put like excrement slathered on, those were violent, disgusting people who were pled guilty to their crimes, who was convicted by juries of their peers, who were sentenced by federal judges, deserved to be where they were before Donald Trump pardoned them and removed them. After it's bad enough he pardoned these crooks, these violent people, to then want our tax dollars to give those violent representatives because he wants to reward them for being nice to him? No. Anyway, I get excited. So, those people, he wanted to give those people money, our tax dollars. So he came up with this scheme to sue us for a breach. Someone leaked tax records, including Donald Trump's, leaks tax records of thousands of Americans. 40,000 of Americans had their tax records leaked. Donald Trump and his family say they're going to sue for $10 billion. How are you the president who controls the Department of Justice and also suing? You can't do it. You could have done that to private citizens. And that's something Judge Kathleen Williams even addresses in her opinion. I'll get to that later. So, did not argue. And actually, let me go ahead and tell you something that she said in the opinion right now. This also reading from Hassan Kanu and Kyle Cheney's article from yesterday afternoon, July 13th, mentioned the Justice Department remained conspicuously absent from the Trump IRS litigation, even when serious questions were raised about its legitimacy, because she said, please submit information on the record to support the legitimacy of this request. Because after Donald Trump, they filed a suit, they quickly, after the judge says, this doesn't look legitimate, this doesn't look like there's official case or controversy, because when you file a lawsuit, it has to be people on the opposite sides. There have to be divergent interests. That's the case of controversy, the controversy part. There is no controversy when you are the president and obviously you're controlling the Department of Justice. Where's the controversy? These are not adversarial parties. They're one and the same. We don't do that. Rather than answer that question, they didn't say anything. They just withdrew the case and said that we withdrew it for a settlement. It was freaking rouge the entire time, and that's what her hearing says. That's what her decision says. So she says, listen, under these circumstances, the court may reasonably infer that the government failed to defend this lawsuit because its position would not withstand judicial scrutiny. They knew it. And because resolution of the threshold issues identified the court would not have favored its preferred outcome. They knew they were going to lose. And because they knew they were going to lose, and they wanted him to have this money, you were on the other side, they knew that you would have won if there's really a true Justice Department. If Donald Trump sued the Justice Department when he wasn't president, he would have lost this case. They knew he would have lost this case. And so because this side knew that he would have lost, they settled. That means they had two interests were the same. Donald Trump won the money, they wanted Donald Trump to have the money. So the settlement was just a ruse to in order to pay these people. And she said that specifically. Let me see the part. She says, this action was never about a party seeking judicial resolution of a legal issue or factual dispute. The nature of the suit itself and the conduct of the parties and counsel from this ruling make plain that this was an attempt to use the court, fraud in the court, to provide sole legitimacy to an agreement to confer immunity to people and entities affiliated with the president, and to earmark billions of dollars from American taxpayers to redress grievances not defined in law. If someone says something like this person is a rogue, if they try to accuse her of being an activist judge, it's kind of like, point to the activist part, because every single thing about that is absolutely true. No one's fooled. No one. Nobody's fooled. You can fool the MAGA people, who pretty gullible folks, I'm sorry, but you're not going to sue anybody with 2 brain cells. Everyone can see right through this. It's very transparent. She said this lawsuit was brought to vindicate, was not brought to vindicate rights, it was brought to manipulate the judicial process. Fraud. And because of this, there's been some circumstances. There's been some consequences, immediate consequences, immediate accountability, because I know a lot of people want accountability. There'll be some accountability. She said in her decision that, or she suggested that Todd Blanche and Associate Attorney General Stan Woodward may be subject to investigative or disciplinary action by state bar associations. This man does not deserve to be Attorney General, and he's going to answer to all of this. He's going to sound really stupid, and you're going to hear the Republicans try to bluster and blow him up and puff her up and whip her up, but they're coming for him. They're coming for him. She sanctioned 2 of Trump's personal attorneys who signed the initial complaint against Internal Revenue Service, referring Alejandro Brito to the Florida bar for potential discipline and banning Daniel Epstein from practicing in the Southern District of Florida for at least a year. She kicked them off the freaking district court all together. The plaintiffs, including Trump and certain agencies, are also barred from citing the agreement in official proceedings as evidence of a formal settlement. Because remember, they were trying to say, we settled. There was a settlement. And even Todd Blanche, during his oversight hearing the other day, was saying what it was a settlement, it's a federal settlement. And the Democrats who were grilling him were saying that because they tried to use the Obama, they said, oh, Obama had something when he settled with some natives. And some of the senators were saying that what Obama did was pursuant to a federal judge signing off on it. There was no federal judge that signed off on this. And they were saying it's a federal settlement. So this curtails that. So during his oversight hearing, when he's grilled on this, he cannot say, you cannot use the Obama example, say Obama did it. Yeah, Obama did it because it was settled, it was a courtroom document. Yours, the judge specifically said you cannot cite this. So this was just a rouge on your own. The judge said this was a fraud. So if the judge said it's a fraud in the court, you can't come to me legitimately and compare Barack Obama or use that example. Do not even try it. But if he might try it, and if you're a senator watching this on the Judiciary Committee, or if you are a legislative aide or judicial aide or whatever to a senator on the Judiciary Committee or senator generally, who is going to be in a position to ask questions this week, please take note of this. And if you know any, share this video with them. take note of this, and you haven't already taken note of this. If they try to bring up if he tries to use the Obama did it defense, please remind them that doesn't work. That's not gonna work here. That you've been precluded from doing that. That doesn't count. What else do you have? Because you can't justify it with that, because it's not the same thing. Apples and oranges. The people that were aggrieved were Native people who were harmed by the government. You're trying to use our tax dollars to give money to people who harmed the government. That is not the same. We are not the same. Again, this was a fraud, and this is what the court declines to adopt or accept the credulous exercise of divorcing President Donald Trump's current job from understanding that the lead plaintiff and the government are one and fully realized unitary interests. She pointed that out. She also said the IRS, what she also said, okay. She also was disturbed because, remember, I was telling you guys, the congressional testimony, the congressional hearings, I see a lot of people say it's theatrics, it's just political theater. No, this is an example of it right here. She was aware of what he did, and even if she wasn't aware, the interveners, when you have two cases, two parties, other people can intervene. I'm not quite sure. I didn't read the brief of the former federal judges that intervened in this example and did a friend of the court brief, even though she kind of said, I got this. They probably pointed out what Todd Blanche said on his testimony, but for him saying on testimony, they wouldn't have that. This was the benefits of these hearings. She said that she was kind of troubled that during his testimony that he suggested that the court cannot review the settlement agreement. She said that was misleading and best disingenuous and worse. What do you mean I can't review it, the settlement agreement? You're using the settlement agreement under our court, using my courts, the settlement. You had to create a proceeding for my court, and then you create a settlement for my court. And now you're saying something that you're kind of used to legitimize your settlement, that I don't have the right to review a settlement that you, what? Anyway, she also said that Donald Trump could have brought this case when he was a private citizen. He waited till he was president to do this. He could have done it afterwards. So anyway, bravo. And this is when I tell you that the courts are working, the judges are working. I know people say that they don't abide, which is true. And they don't listen, this is true. And then they disobey court order, which is true. All of that is true. But in addition to all of that being true, they eventually will succumb, because I'm watching this. And if you don't know, this is your first time seeing me, I'm legal. I am monitoring the lawsuits filed against the Trump administration, and those the Trump administration filed against others, to give you a sense of calm and let you know that the courts and the judicial system are working, pushing them back, including judges. She was appointed by Barack Obama, but judges appointed by Bill Clinton and Joe Biden, as well as those appointed by Donald Trump himself. We've seen a lot of them this week. George W. Bush, a lot of them this week, and also Ronald Reagan. We've seen them in the past, plenty of them. It's just like, this is ridiculous. This is beyond the pale of what the hell we've ever seen. Especially the ones that Donald Trump mattered, that is squat. Maybe the Trump appointed judges were puppy to do his stuff, but the ones who were not appointed by him were like, nah. So we know that the judges in the courts, like I say, are for linked their feet to the fire. And they've actually caused them to stop things, return payments, funnel money that's supposed to be going to people, hire people back. They've been ordered to do all these things, replace things, and they're reluctant, but they have done them. They're reluctantly, and they'll appeal until they can no longer, but ultimately, they do it. And but for the courts, we wouldn't have any of these things. Anyway, J. each one teach one, share this video so more people know. I was really excited about it. I saw it reported. I think I saw Adam Wackler mention it last night. I didn't even know. I was busy. I was doing something. And I said, I got to follow up on that. And then this morning, I happened to open up the Kyle Cheney, and I saw O'Connell's piece in Politico and read it. I was like, oh my God. So go check them out. Support independent journalists, but also support those journalists and reporters that, despite what's going on with their corporate daddies, are still doing the work, are still doing the investigating. Because New York Times journalists, Maggie Hadamir and Jonathan Snow, did a lot of work for us. They took that whistleblower report or inside scoop they got, and they gave us the information. And most of the information we have are going to be to whistleblowers. And for those who follow me who don't, I've always been bagging about my wins and my predictions. But I said this back in, I'm sure I'm not the only person that said this, but I just want to give props to me. I said it back in February, March 2024, 25. I said that this is going to be the leakiest administration because they do all sorts of crazy, nonsense, illegal, unlawful stuff. And the government, no matter how much they try to purge, it's still 4 million people in the government who are looking like this or what. And some of them are actually like putting their future careers on the line by doing formal whistleblowers to the judiciary committees and things like that. And it's going to be all these sleuths in the government that are just sitting down, taking note, copying things, waiting for this DOJ to get out the office. Because the minute they do, you better know it's going to open for all this stuff. Every single thing they've been trying to do under the cover of darkness, under this administration, sunshine is the best disinfectant, they say. So yeah, things gonna come to light, as they say. Really, each one to share this video so more people know. If you like to support independent journalists, that's what I do here. I would love for you to just share this video widely. That's the best free thing you can do for me. I also have a Trump Survivor Kit in my website, jzliver.com. And you go there, and in exchange for your email, you get the Survivor Kit. I have a 15-minute civics lesson that's going to turn into a series soon. I have for you receipts. So for this video, I don't need a receipts page because the only receipts page is the ruling and the political article. But for all my other videos, I try to take the research and evidence of reports that I use to come up with my stories and put them in a receipts page on my website that you can access if you're a paid member of my YouTube, Patreon, or Substack paid communities. Other than that, replay the videos, research it, you can get it yourself. Yeah, that's great. Also, merch on my page, in case you're interested. The tees that I wear, this one's not necessarily exciting. In case you're interested in those, I also have legal templates and other things. Yeah, so share this video, support independent. I won't call myself an independent journalist. I don't think that. Although I do have a journalism degree, a journalism background, I will call myself an independent news source. Yeah, independent news source. I think that's good. Because I feel like journalists have certain standards that people who are online news aggregators don't necessarily adhere to those journalistic standards and ethics, not necessarily because they don't want to, because they don't have to, and also they're not raised in that. And no, I'm not shading them, but it's hard, it's interesting calling them journalists. To me, when I think of a journalist, that comes with following certain journalistic principles, ethics, and stuff like that, which I see that the people that are claiming to be journalists don't have those. There's a lot of impartiality that these people do not have, that I can see. And they're doing and saying a lot of things, which is no shade on them, no shade on them at all. They're doing and saying things on behalf of things that they were paid to do, which is no shade on them. Again, I'm just saying, do what you gotta do to get your money. I'm not shading you. But because they do that, that automatically removes them under the journalism category. The minute that you're taking money from one particular interest and somehow they monitor, or you have this money because they know you have them. And even if you say I'm independent and I'm not views of my own, there's this thing called the appearance of impropriety. It looks that way. And people always gonna assume that, even if you say I'm independent. People are like, okay, yeah. Whenever, that's the same thing with these these elected officials. They're independent, but if they get $1 million from somebody for the campaign, they can claim independence all they want. We know that the voting history is going to sway in favor of the people getting $1 million. Same thing. So again, no shade on them. So, all right, J.J. each one teach me. Share this video. I did not need this to be 20 minutes. All that rambling about stuff that's not even relevant at the end. But if you stayed this long, thank you so much. Share this video so more people know I got more stuff coming for you today. Today is a good day. I shared the wins because I see people are still seeing wins for the first time and saying, finally a win. And then I have a few people on threads that tag me and say, what are you talking about finally win? We've been winning. Thank you. We've been winning. But they just don't follow me. This is a mosquito bite sticker, which will give you some clues where I am or why I have this green screen. See you soon. Watch this video. If you watch this on YouTube, continue learning from me.